In this lesson, we will use the CAT utility to assess organizational security. We are in the CAT portion of the video series. This lesson is part of a video series that prepares you for the hands-on portion of the CompTIA Security Plus exam and is designed to give you hands-on experience with the operations and incident response section of the exam. So what is the CAT command? The CAT command is used in Linux to concatenate and display file contents. System administrators, developers, and anyone working with text files in Linux use the CAT command. It is used when you need a quick preview of a file's content. It is primarily used in Linux and Unix terminal environments within scripts or directly in the command line, and is used to quickly inspect or verify files without loading the entire document. By typing CAT followed by the file names or options in a Linux terminal is how you use it. The rest of the how is what this video is all about. So let's get into it. To get started, grab the companion guide from the link in the show notes below. Also, if you like this content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new videos. Okay, so we have our companion guide. We have Ubuntu Linux on the right hand side. We have the CAT command. So I'm going to just clear the screen first to get started. And we're going to just do a present working directory to see where we are. We're at the desktop. So as I mentioned, we have our companion guide. We need to download the sample.txt file. So I already have it in my downloads folder, and you can do this a variety of ways. In a previous exercise, we talked about creating the shared facility in VirtualBox, or you can just copy and paste it. I was able to just drag it, and I'm just going to do a quick ls to list the example, and I have it here. Now, one thing that we want to as cybersecurity professionals is to get comfortable verifying the integrity of files. We're in a zero trust environment, trust but verify. So we'll go into this a little bit more. I'm already in the terminal. If you're not sure how to open the terminal, I'm going to close out on this here. I can go to my home directory. I'm going to do it slightly different this time. I'm looking at my home directory. I'm going into the downloads folder. I see sample.txt already there. I can open in terminal, and that's going to open a terminal for me. I can close this out. I can double click this to make this bigger, or I can just open it this way. It's really easy. I'll make this bigger in that regard. And you can do the Control-Alt-T. That's one way. I'm going to CD ~download. And I'm in the document, in the downloads folder. I'm also going to two taps to get my terminal screen a little bit bigger for presentation purposes. You may decide to keep it the way that you want to. And as I mentioned, I have the sample.txt file set up here. Now what I want to do is use an MD5, a message digest 5 sum sample, to get the number. So I'm going to do MD5 sum. And it's going to give me this number here, and it should be the same number that we have published. And this is how we know this file was not tampered in flight, either through corruption because of data transfers or some type of adversary in the middle attack. But I also can make this a little bit easier here. For example, I can do an MD5 sum, and I'm going to pipe it to a file. I'm going to call this the hash.txt file. I have that file. Then I'm going to MD5 sum with the -C, which is basically checking it, and I'm getting an OK sign here. And this is going to let me know that everything is fine with the file. In other words, the way I downloaded is the way the distributor intended the file to be. So I'm going to go ahead and check off some of these here. And I'm going to demonstrate just real quickly before I go to Nano. Nano is a text editor. I'm going to nano the file so we can see what's inside this sample.txt. Essentially, it's a file that's sequentially numbered from this is the first line of the sample file, and it goes all the way down to 100. To show you what this integrity check looks like, this is what's great about a hash. I'm going to change it just by a little, ever so slightly, just a period. I'm going to Control Save. I'm going to save that file, and actually I should do this, Control X. It says yes. I'm going to save it to buffer. And now I'm going to do that MD5 check again, and it failed because the file was changed. So this is why we want to get into the practice of downloading files and checking those hash values. That way we know that the file was not tampered in flight either through data corruption or an adversary in the middle. So we quickly looked at the file. I'm going to select here, but I had to use a text editor to take a look at it. The whole point in cat, let me just clear my screen, is that you can concatenate or chain a file to the terminal, and you can see the contents of the file without opening an editor. So this is the same file, but it just outputted it right to the terminal. So as it says here, this will display the full content of the file on the terminal. Now this file is easy for us because it's numbered. This is the 53rd, 54th, all the way to 100. But sometimes we're going to work with scripts and we want to number the files. So we want to know what that looks like. So I'm going to clear the screen here, and I'm going to cat -n is going to number the file, and it's going to put numbers in front of it. So that way, if we're trying to reference and have a common reference point with someone we're working on, we're going to say line 60, line 67, line 68. Obviously, this is easy because this file actually has the line number inside of it, but we may have files that don't have that, so we need to name those files. So that's why this is important for us as well. Okay, a little housekeeping on the side. I'm going to clear the screen again and just get that back on top. And now we're going to cat -e sample, and actually this should be an uppercase E if I'm being very specific about it. And this is going to show me the line breaks. First and foremost, let me just show you what a regular cat looks like. So if I do a regular text, you see it has the period. This is the sample file. If I clear the screen and I do a cat -e sample text, I get $signs, and these are line breaks. So this is where we get a hard return. This is where the line returns. We get a hard return and it starts a new line. This may be helpful in analyzing some text we may get from either logs or different type of files that we're trying to examine, maybe HTML files. So this is important for us as well. Okay, so I'm going to clear my screen again, as I mentioned, but not on this side. I tend to do that in this course a bit. We're going to go on this side. We're going to clear, and we want to put the output to a file. In other words, I'm going to clear the screen, do an ls, and I have the hash text that we have here. We know since we changed the file, even by 1 decimal or just any iota, it's different because hashing values are unique. We can output the file, the cat command, to another file. For example, I can cat sample.txt, and I'm going to use the greater than sign to output.txt. And then at that point, I can cat output.txt, and I can analyze a different file at this point. So maybe there'll be some reasons where we may want to take portions of a file, not all of it, take it to a smaller file, so that way we don't have to deal with the entire file. So this is more of a reference point at this point in time. Okay, the other thing that we're looking at here, once again, I'm coming back on this side, I'm going to clear. We're looking at, if I do the cat command, it goes right ahead from 1 to 100, and then I'm at the bottom over here, which may or may not be helpful, but I may want to pause that a little bit. For example, I may want to cat the command using the more command, so I'm going to pipe. That symbol that you see there is the pipe, and I want to more, and give me some mooring options. And mooring options will stop it at the end of the cursor, where you see it's the 48th, and I can just kind of step through this here. And I can just incrementally go up by hitting the return or enter key, and I can just bring that up. If I want to stop, I can hit quit, and then I have everything that I need here. I press type clear to get back into the screen, and this is the more option in the cat command. So since we can pipe it to commands, let's pipe it to another command. Let's say we need to do some quick word counts. So we can pipe it to the word count. So we cat output.txt, pipe the symbol that you see here, and word count is going to give me these specific numbers. So there's 100 lines, 900 words, and is 4.1K in size. So let's break that down a little bit. So word count minus line number is going to tell me the number of lines. We know that we have 100 lines. I can also say how many words do we have in this document. So if you're ever writing something and you need to keep it under a character count or a word count, more specifically a word count, we now have this, and not 900. I'm looking for W, and it's going to tell me 900, which we already know here. And then last but not least, we can do the same thing and get the count or the size. It's going to tell me it's 4013. If I want to see that in a slightly different way, I can do ls minus LAH sample, and I see that it's 4.1K. So this number jives and aligns with this as well. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping on this side here. And then we're going to use a command called the head command. The head and tail. The head command is actually just going to give us the first 10. So let's say we don't want to see everything here. I'm going to clear. I'm going to cat the command here. And rather than go to the whole thing, I'm going to do head. And technically, I can just do this here, and it's going to give me the first 10 lines of the command. I could specify a specific number. I can do head minus n, the number, and say give me the first 15 lines of the file. Now, this leads us perfectly into the head command, which is what the next course is all about, the next lesson. It's head and tail, and we'll go through those commands in detail. What I wanted to do in this lesson was quickly highlight the cat command, short for concatenate, which means that we can chain the output not only to a file but also to the screen. And as always, with many of the Linux commands, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can explore more by using the help option or the man command for detailed documentation. So if we do this here, I can do cat tac help will give us some information there. Or if you really want to get into the cat command, you can do the man and it'll give you the manual. Well, that's it. That was quick and dirty. You now have a list of steps to practice the cat command with common and popular options in Linux. Experiment with different options and observe the output to understand how they affect the command, and I'll see you at the next lesson. See you soon.